make yourself comfortable, and in your own time, start to breathe as long and slow as you can. Take 3 deep breaths like this, in all the way down to your belly and out. And when you've done that, return to your normal breath and start to feel your body relax. Feel it sinking down into your bed or wherever you're sitting. And now start to use your imagination. We're about to have a very special adventure. So close your eyes and get ready. You find yourself in a beautiful forest. There is an abundance of plants and animals. You can hear the tweeting of the birds, the chirp of crickets, and the croak of frogs. You hear the whisher, whisher, whisher of the trees and the sound of a babbling brook in the distance. You find yourself on a path that leads deeper into the forest. And as you walk along it, you notice some stone steps. You decide to explore down these steps. You take step 1, going down deeper into the forest. Step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, deeper into the forest, down onto this next part of the path. You follow this path along for quite a while. And eventually you come to a little sign. One arrow points right and one arrow points left. The arrow that points right says, "This way to the river." The arrow that points left says nothing at all. And it makes you feel quite curious. So you decide to take the left path today. You follow it along and you hear that whisher whisher of the trees get louder, like the trees are talking to each other. And the birds start talking to each other too. It feels quite magical in this forest. You can feel the magical energy all around you. There's something different here. You continue to follow the path along, and eventually you come to a clearing. In this clearing, you see, well, it's the strangest thing that you see in this clearing. In the middle of this clearing is a tree, but this tree is different. This tree is growing on top of a rock, and its roots stretch all the way down the sides of the rock to reach the earth. A seed must have dropped on top of this rock a long time ago and landed in a little patch of dirt that was sitting on the rock, because seeds need dirt to grow. And then it's grown up and stretched its roots all the way down into the earth, because that's where trees get their water. You imagine what it must feel like to be this tree, having roots that stretch all the way down into the earth. It must feel very secure, very grounding, and very connected. You walk over for a closer look at the tree, and you walk all around it, looking at the texture, the colour, and the tangle of the roots. Then you notice something. On one part of the tree, there is a little door. You've had enough of these adventures that you can take a guess that it might just be a fairy door. You decide to knock on the door and see if anyone will answer. So you do. You use one finger because the door is just so small. And very suddenly, the door opens up. And there stands a little fairy in a golden dress, and she has a very stern look on her face. "Our capacity is full for humans," she says, and slams the door in your face. Oh my, you are shocked. The fairy did seem quite annoyed, as though she'd been bothered about this many times before. And that gets you to thinking, she said the capacity is full for humans. That must mean there are humans in there. But how would they get through that tiny door? You're very curious about this. So curious, in fact, that you decide to knock again and see if you can talk to this little fairy. So you do. You tap on the door. She opens it up and looks at you with that stern face. You tell her you just have one question, and she agrees to answer it. You ask her how humans fit through that tiny door, and the little fairy rolls her eyes. "They go through the human door, of course," she says. She tells you that was your one question and she has to go now, so she shuts the door quite quickly. And you wonder where this human door might be. You look around the clearing. You go over to the edge and check out some of the trees there. Walking around, you notice a little path further into the forest. You go down it and very shortly you're led into another clearing. This clearing has a fairy ring, a circle made out of fungi, that's mushrooms or toadstools, in the center of it. You look around and you see that there is one more path going further. And you follow this one down, and this one leads to a clearing that has the same strange thing that you saw earlier. It has a tree growing over a rock. Over this one, only this one is much bigger than the one you saw earlier. It's a human-sized version, and sure enough, glancing up onto the tree, you can see there is a human-sized door. The roots of the tree stretch down over this giant rock, and they weave together so that you can climb up to the door on top of the rock. And that's what you do. You hold on tightly to the roots and climb up it like a ladder, reaching the door. You think it might be polite to knock, so you do. But this time, there's no answer. So, you take hold of the handle and open the door. And oh my goodness, you are greeted with the most amazing sight. You have opened the door up to a whole other world. You're standing on top of a hill that has an amazing view of hills and valleys and forests and rivers and tiny little houses in the distance. Everything is the most luscious green colour, and you see birds flying and can hear the sound of water in the distance. And if you listen very carefully, the chatter of people or fairies or whatever magical folk live here. Suddenly, with a whoosh, something appears in front of you. It is a flying carriage led by 2 white unicorns. Goodness me, that's not what you expected at all. The unicorns tell you that they can take you on a flying tour above this world. So you climb into the carriage and off you go, up into the sky off the edge of this mountain. They fly you over the forest, down close to the river, above the village, and you take in all the sights. You think you would love to explore this place. You would love to know what each part of it is. And you think to ask the unicorns if there's any sort of guided tour. They tell you that they don't offer a guided tour. It's too tricky for you to hear them from the carriage, and they don't like to talk a lot while they're flying because they might run out of breath. But if you come back again some other time, they can find someone to give you a more detailed, informative tour of the place, and maybe even take you exploring some of the parts of this world. They tell you that there is a crystal cave, a wizard and witch school, a human village, a healing center, an animal sanctuary, and all sorts of wonders in this place. You might even get to meet the fairies, or the elves, or the witches and wizards, or the humans who get to live in this magical place. Perhaps you would get to ride a unicorn or swim in the magical river. But for now, you watch it all from the sky, and you enjoy as birds fly past you. Sometimes they slow down and poke their head in and wave their wing. The unicorns fly you around one more time. So take a few moments to look at the scenery below. And when you hear my voice again, the unicorns will fly you back to the mountain. It's time for the unicorns to take you back now. And they take you back to the edge of the mountain, and you climb off and go back through the human door. Climb down the roots of the tree on the rock. Follow the path back to the clearing with the fairy ring, and then the clearing with the fairy door. That's a miniature size of the door that you just went through into that magical world. You walk back along the path, back past the little sign that says "This way, river," and the other one that pointed to the path that you took. And as you walk, you start to take 3 deep breaths in your own time, in and out. And you start to come back to your body that's lying in your bed. You wriggle your fingers, and wriggle your toes, and feel just how relaxed your body is, sinking into your mattress, ready to drift off to sleep and have more magical adventures in your dreams. Good night. Sleep well. See you next time.